Hello, this is Adam Bernard with AutoPerspectives, and welcome to another news roundup. As you can see by the logo here on the front page, we are here to talk about the Japan Mobility Show. So this will be a supersized episode as we look at about a dozen vehicles that were launched in Japan last week. Either production or concept. If you've been in this business for a while, you'll recognize that the Japan Mobility Show is the show formerly known as Tokyo Motor Show or the Tokyo Auto Show. I haven't been there in person for a while, but I managed to follow it virtually over the past week. So we will, it's primarily a showcase for Japanese automakers, but we'll talk about one non-Japanese automaker that made a bit of a splash there as well. And so let's get started with the aforementioned non-Japanese automaker, and that is BYD. BYD is the juggernaut out of China. They are expanding into a number of other markets, including Japan. And they realize that if you're going to be a big player in some of these big markets, you need to tailor your vehicles to the market. So this is BYD's first kei-car, K-E-I. It's called the Racco. If you're not familiar with a kei-car, these vehicles are restricted in size and engine displacement and power. They're, as a result, exempt from certain taxes and regulations and benefit from lower insurance and parking fees. So the goal for this class of vehicle was to get more people driving on the road there. This is BYD's first vehicle designed exclusively for markets outside of China. And to give you an idea of how impressive that is, in Japan, they sold over 1.5 million kei-cars in 2024, about 40% of new vehicle sales. So this is a big move, and it's the first one we've seen by a non-Japanese automaker to break into this segment. The silhouette mirrors many existing entries like the Mitsubishi EK and the Daihatsu Tanto. It is front drive like most kei-cars, and in this case, more of an MPV profile. You can also get kei-cars, by the way, in other body styles. Pickup trucks, roadsters, hatchbacks, etc. Powering this is BYD's Blade LFP or lithium iron phosphate battery with up to 112 miles on the WLTC cycle, which is a little more optimistic than the EPA cycle, but it does charge pretty quickly. The DC fast charging up to 100 kilowatts, and the price point at $16,500 puts it comparable to other Japanese branded KEVs. So pretty aggressive move by BYD, and probably not the last that we'll see as they start to expand globally. So here's a kei-car. It's not quite a kei-car anymore. Honda has a portfolio of N vehicles. N is in normal. And they make little vans and hatchbacks. So this is the Honda Super 1 or Super N, as it'll be badged for export. At the Goodwood Festival of Speed last summer, we saw a camouflaged vehicle that Honda called the Super EV, and now we are looking at the production version. So it's basically kind of the Honda N1 hatchback that's been beefed up to look more aggressive and drive more aggressively. It launches next year in Japan before exports begin to other Asian markets and to the UK. We don't have really any technical specs aside from knowing that it is electric. It does have a new boost mode, which again fits into the performance orientation of the vehicle. And even though it doesn't have a real transmission, it does have a simulated 7-speed transmission and virtual engine sounds. So not unlike what Hyundai did with the Ioniq 5N. You might expect the target market for this is your fast and furious 20-something. In fact, Honda says the target market is 50 to 60-year-old males who will then pass it on to their kids. So unfortunately, don't look for this in any North American markets anytime soon, but if you go overseas, you might be lucky enough to see one in person. Daihatsu brought the K-Open. This concept is probably a preview of a production vehicle, even though Daihatsu hasn't confirmed it yet, that would replace the Daihatsu Copen. That's C-O-P-E-N. The Copen is a K-class roadster. It's entering its second generation right now, and this could be a third generation of the Copen. The big change, which is not immediately obvious from looking at it, is that while the previous Copens were both transverse front drive, like almost every other kei-car, this is longitudinal rear drive, so it's kind of like a tiny little Mazda Miata. The current model will cease production next summer. So again, we may be a couple of years from seeing a vehicle like this actually hit the road. Like the current Copen, it features a rounded body, round headlamps, and some cool higher tech slim running lights. And it is still a K-class vehicle. It's about 10 inches shorter than a Fiat 500e, and Daihatsu notes that presented some significant packaging challenges to fit a longitudinal engine and a rear drive component set into this vehicle. The interior is pretty minimalist. There is a physical handbrake. There is no touchscreen. There is no head-up display. It is very much like a Roadster of the 60s. It even has fabric straps instead of conventional door handles. So if they build this, definitely for the Japanese market, perhaps for Europe as well, where they have set the Coupe in the past, but we'll have to wait for an official confirmation from Daihatsu. This is the Mazda Vision X Compact, and here referring to it as Mazda's next 2. The Mazda 2 is a B-sized hatchback around the size of the Ford Fiesta. We saw it here briefly in North America. We even saw it badged as a Scion through the Toyota dealer network. This is a B-sized hatchback with an unspecified powertrain. You'll note it does not have a conventional grille, so it could be electric, because we know Mazda is working on an EV, but it also could be some sort of hybrid as well. Mazda says they do want to build this, and it does look reasonably doable. You know, you would need mirrors and door handles and a few other things to make it totally legit. You do get a contemporary interpretation of the Mazda face up front and some pretty aggressive proportions with long wheelbase, short overhangs, nice wheel to body relationship. There's not a lot of technical information available on this vehicle, but they do note that, quote, it was designed to deepen the bond between people and cars through the fusion of a human sensory digital model and empathetic AI. Acting like a close companion, it is capable of engaging in natural conversation and suggesting destinations, helping expand the driver's world. So basically, this is not just your car, but it's also your buddy, thanks to the use of AI. And if you've ever talked to ChatGPT or Gemini, the idea is that this vehicle would talk to you as well and keep you entertained. The interior, like the Daihatsu K-Open, is also very minimalist. There's a single circular multi-purpose gauge and a smartphone mount right next to that. There is no touchscreen. There's no head-up display. You do get a nice physical gear shift as well. So we'll see how much of this winds up making it to production. It definitely would give Mazda a competitor to the Mini Cooper, as one example. Toyota brought this radical new Corolla concept to Tokyo as well. Remember when the Prius used to be ugly, like continuously ugly? Every time a new generation would come out, people would say, well, it's just as ugly as the previous one. And then finally, after 5 generations, somebody at Toyota said, you know what? The Prius doesn't have to be ugly, and that's why the latest Prius is actually pretty slick looking. Well, apparently a similar thought process happened at Toyota again. The Corolla was never really ugly, but for a while it was very, very vanilla. And if you look at the past couple of generations, they have tried to turn up the dial a bit to add a little more style into this essentially A to B appliance. And in fact, now they have said that, quote, we're going to reinvent the best-selling car of all time. So they pretty much dialed it up to 11 from a stylistic standpoint. Is this actual a production intent? Toyota is hedging their bets. They said, let's see what happens. With a positive reaction from the show, why not? It's not out of the realms of reality. It could be believable. Well, definitely a positive reaction. The media has been writing very nice things about this Corolla concept. And I have to agree, it is a pretty nice looking small car. It is sharper and edgier than the current car. It's got a full width light bar front and rear. The pillars are probably a little slim to be production intent, but a lot of the stuff that we're looking at here doesn't look too impossible to build. This is supposed to be a new platform, and it's not the new modular EV platform that we've been hearing about, but this is a new multi-energy platform that would support electric, gas, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and even hydrogen fuel cell powertrains, all of which are expected to be part of the next Corolla. So there would be a Corolla EV, but it wouldn't look different from a gasoline-powered Corolla, at least not significantly. Toyota notes that the new fuel cell powertrain they're working on would be 20% more efficient than what's in the Mirai. A couple of years ago, Toyota basically said, we're going to continue with our fuel cell work, but we're going to focus on the commercial side of the business, trucks and vans and things like that. But they still will apparently do want to offer a passenger vehicle as well. So it's expected that this Corolla fuel cell would replace the Mirai in a few years. The interior is equally avant-garde. Unfortunately, Toyota appears to have not gotten the message that Hyundai and Volkswagen and Ferrari and Mercedes have gotten, that physical controls are kind of nice to have. There don't appear to be very many physical controls here. There's some haptic switches on the steering wheel. There's a passenger side touchscreen, and there's a satellite touch panel off of the steering wheel. But it is a very open, airy interior. Center console, as you can see, is replaced by a floating panel that houses both the gear selector and a wireless chargers for your phone. STI is one of Subaru's better known performance sub-brands. It's not quite as radical as the WRX, but it is still pretty aggressive. And so this is an exterior concept suggesting a possible future electric performance sedan in Subaru's traditional blue and gold livery. It is a twin motor layout, so one in the front and one in the back. And one of Subaru's European executives said the intent here is to, quote, bring back the sportiness in Subaru. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, Subarus are already pretty sporty. Unfortunately, if you go to Europe, there's a required gasoline particulate filter that literally chokes the Subaru's gasoline engines, because all of Subaru's performance vehicles right now are just plain old gasoline vehicles. And so European customers are kind of missing out on the most powerful Subarus. But the thought is that electrification in one form or another would allow them to address that. And so an electric STI or even a hybrid STI or WRX is certainly within the realm of possibility. This particular concept is definitely blocky and edgy. A lot of aero tweaks, including spoilers, air dams, ground effects, and a giant rear diffuser. So Subaru hasn't confirmed any production intent, but they are likely looking at opportunities like this for the future. In addition to the Vision X Compact, Mazda also brought the Vision X Coupe, and this vehicle is definitely not a compact. It's actually bigger than the Mazda 6e sedan, around the size of a Mercedes CLS. Under the hood is a 503 horsepower turbocharged two-rotor plug-in hybrid with an EV range of about 100 miles. And so that's a follow-on from the iconic SP from 2023, which featured a rotary-powered range-extended EV. The rotary engine is inherently not super fuel efficient, so Mazda is looking for ways to address that. And one way it could be some sort of hybrid drivetrain, whether it's a plug-in hybrid or an extended range EV. In addition to the electrification of the powertrain, Mazda also knows that this concept reduces CO2 by combining carbon-neutral fuel derived from microalgae with Mazda's proprietary CO2 capture technology. So literally, as you drive around, it kind of scrubs the air around it a little cleaner. Again, no official production confirmation on that technology, but clearly something that Mazda is looking at. The interior here, not radically different from what we saw in the Vision X concept, but with some more screens, at least one in the center and one for the passenger side. There are 3 retro-style round gauges directly in front of the driver with electronic displays, and there's another 4th display on the steering wheel hub itself. You'll note a nice wide console and, yes, a physical gear shift, because Mazda does still want to make their future vehicles fun to drive. And we'll finish off the car section of this discussion with the Century Coupe. Now, the chairman of Toyota, Akio Toyoda, believes that he can take on Bentley and Rolls-Royce with this new brand, Century. Now, in 1967, the Toyota Century was launched as a flagship sedan. They built and still build about 50 of them a month, largely hand-built and mostly for Japanese diplomats. And it's very, very old school, with doilies on the seats and real wood trim and nice fabric and things like that. But now the idea is to spin off Century as a separate brand alongside Toyota and Daihatsu and Lexus. In doing so, Toyota says that this will free up Lexus to explore new opportunities in the less exclusive upper premium market. And we'll see a couple of Lexus concepts here in a moment. This coupe, which is just called the Coupe, is a 3-passenger vehicle that joins the existing Toyota Century sedan and the other Toyota Century, which is an SUV but not badged as an SUV, so a little confusing. That orange color that you see is courtesy of 60 layers of paint. The vehicle itself echoes the Bentley EX-P15 that we saw earlier this year, with a similarly blunt front end. But this vehicle has rather a unique door setup. One giant door panel slides forward, and then if you look closely at this image, there's a little half door over the rear wheels, and that part of the door slides rearward to make it very easy to get in and out of this vehicle. And it is a 3-seater, so 1 in the front, 2 in the back, so you can either drive it yourself or you can be driven. Now, this is not the first time we've heard about taking the Century brand outside of Japan. They tried selling that with the previous generation Toyota Century sedan. That was in production from 1997 to 2018, and they sold a whopping 27 units. So clearly a lot more work has got to be done in order to take things global. Now, if you go to Toyota's website, it looks like they actually have the craftsmen to match the capability of the Europeans. They know how to build things by hand. They know how to use some pretty exotic materials. So it looks like they can check off that box, at least for the moment. The interior is also similar to the Bentley EXP15. There's a big wooden console, and what you see on the left there is either laser beams or piano wire or some way that kind of delineates the driver section from the passenger section of the vehicle. There's a steering yoke and twin satellite displays on either side of the IP cluster. We don't really have any other technical specs. We're not even sure what's powering this Century Coupe, but it should be noted that they currently build 50 sedans a month. They build about 30 SUVs. If you want to take the Century brand global, you need an ecosystem. Part of that will be upgrading the Lexus dealers that will sell the Century vehicles, because that's the plan, but also providing service capability. And to support the expenses to get all that done, you're going to need to build more than 80 vehicles a month. And so we'll see what they do from a production standpoint to get to the volumes to the point where they can start to sell this globally. Timing on when Century goes global, when this coupe might hit production, all TBD at this moment, but it's definitely a pet project of the chairman. So when the chairman has a pet project, it usually does wind up happening. We'll switch gears to some more functional vehicles, starting with a little Daihatsu Midget concept. The original Midget was a micro pickup that Daihatsu sold in the late 1990s. If you were a small business and needed a small fuel-efficient vehicle, the Midget was a K-class pickup. So very easy to buy and easy to insure and easy to park. The new Midget is a three-seater with a centrally mounted driver and an enclosed rear storage box. So, if you're a tailor or a florist, or you need a little runabout to deliver stuff, this is the perfect vehicle for you. No official production confirmation, but I certainly would not rule it out going forward. This next vehicle looks familiar. At CES this past year, Honda showed the 0 Series SUV built off a brand new platform that will go into production next year. This is the 0 Series Alpha, and it is a smaller vehicle. It's around the size of a Honda CR-V, so it's kind of one size down, and it targets Japan and India, and it will go into production in 2027, so after the regular 0 Series SUV comes out. Very similar aesthetically in terms of surfacing, proportion, graphics, everything like that. It will also share the same brand new 0 Series platform that features a slim battery pack and a compact electric axle, as well as Honda's new Osmo operating system and level 3 automated driving. Up front, the full width light bar acts as a daytime running light. And if you go around back, you'll see the C-pillar mounted rear door handles, the rising belt line, the thick C-pillar, which to be honest seems to create some visibility issues, a giant U-shaped tail lamp and a near vertical rear end, camback style, which helps both aero and cargo capabilities, and a decent sized 21-inch wheels as well. We don't have any technical specs on the 0 Series Alpha. We don't know even exactly how big it is. We don't know how far it'll go or how fast it'll go. Top electric SUV provided this shot of the interior with a yoke-style steering that allows a clear view of the IP. There's displays on either side of the dashboard that are connected to the rear view cameras. No apparent physical controls, unfortunately. So they didn't really, again, get the message here that buyers do like some physical controls in addition to touchscreens. But who knows, that may change between now and 2027 when the production vehicle hits the streets. Mitsubishi's Elevance is an off-road oriented 3-row midsize SUV. It features a new AI co-driver that acts as a personal travel assistant, so not unlike our buddy, the Vision X Compact. It offers destination suggestions based on drivers' habits and lifestyle, and drive mode recommendations based on terrain. Up front is an evolution of the Mitsubishi Shield, as seen on the latest Outlander, so the Mitsubishi brand identity up front there. And because it's a Mitsubishi, not surprisingly, it is a plug-in hybrid. But this one is set up a little differently. It's got 4 individually controllable electric motors. It also has a large capacity battery that enables towing capability, and Mitsubishi notes that the gas engine only kicks in on longer trips. If I didn't know better, I'd swear this was an EREV, an extended range EV, but that's not how Mitsubishi refers to it in their press kit, so we're still going to call it a plug-in hybrid. The front motors, by the way, are in-wheel motors. We've seen a couple of automakers dabble in that technology, like Renault, and that provides some benefits in terms of reducing complexity. The engine itself is compatible with carbon-neutral fuel, like the Vision X Coupe, and the low-side windows give you an up-close view of the terrain. The trailer that you see there on the right includes both a kitchen and a shower enclosure, so designed for a little overlanding. Inside, Mitsubishi describes the Elevance interior as seamless and shell type, so it looks very smooth and integrated and all done up in earth tones. It has 3 pillar-to-pillar displays with a 4th display in the steering wheel hub, and the whole front seat unit there swivels around 180 degrees to create a lounge space. And all the seats here are upholstered in actual leather, not pleather or vegan or anything like that, just real honest-to-God leather. I mentioned the Lexus before and looking into some new ideas. This particular concept, which is badged the LS Coupe, is one idea that is probably destined for production in one form or another. It is an SUV coupe around the size of the Lexus RX. It does feature rear coach doors, and it's kind of a follow-up to the Lexus LF ZL concept that we saw a couple of years ago. If Lexus decides to build this, it would provide them with a competitor to the BMW X6 and the upcoming Porsche Cayenne Coupe Electric. Like almost everything else we saw at the show, we don't have a lot of tech specs on this vehicle, but they do note there's a high-speed drone that can deploy from the rear deck to follow the car around and document your journey. It also features, as you see in the lower right there, a slide-out rear cargo floor. The interior is asymmetrical with the black driver's seat. Everything else is upholstered in kind of a dark teal. There's a retractable passenger screen there that you see on the right side, and the driver gets twin overlapping displays kind of stacked in front of the driver, along with a steering yoke to improve visibility. I would say the interior is probably a little further away from production than the exterior is. Nissan's Elgrand is an actual production vehicle. It's the 4th generation of their premium minivan. If you're a Nissan enthusiast, you might recall the 3rd generation Elgrand did spend a little time in the North American market as the Nissan Quest before Nissan decided it really wasn't worth investing in the US minivan market. The Elgrand features Nissan's timeless Japanese futurism design that draws inspiration from traditional Japanese craftsmanship and aesthetics, but with a modern execution. And they note that the grille texture up front is inspired by Japanese kumiko patterns. There's a couple of new colors on the Elgrand. Fuji Dawn is inspired, surprise, surprise, by the dawn sky over Mount Fuji, and Shigoku is a dark red or burgundy that symbolizes elegance and nobility. Probably the most significant part of the Elgrand is what you can't see, which is the powertrain. This is Nissan's 3rd generation e-Power setup. That is their series hybrid. So you have front-mounted electric motors and a small gas engine that acts as a generator. The engine is purpose-built for the e-Power system and also features a 5-in-1 electric powertrain. This is also the first Nissan with their updated e-Force electric all-wheel drive, which means another electric motor in the back to provide all-wheel drive capability. Nissan notes that ProPilot now supports hands-free driving below 50 kilometers an hour, and the available ProPilot 2.0 offers hands-free highway driving like Ford Blue Cruise or GM's Super Cruise. Inside, you'll find twin 14.3-inch displays, an available 22-speaker Bose audio system, and available 64-color ambient lighting. The second row features zero-gravity captain's chairs, real leather, and real wood trim. So again, a nice premium touch there. And Kumiko-inspired patterns can be found on both the door and the seat trim. So this will remain a Japan-only vehicle. We're not likely to see this in other markets, maybe China, but that would be about it. So we actually had a second Lexus LS concept, and while the other was called the LS Coupe, this is just called the LS. And in this case, LS stands for luxury space. Lexus notes their new brand motto is, quote, to discover. So the idea here is to discover new opportunities for the Lexus brand. You'll note this is a 6-wheeler, and those smaller rear wheels are designed to minimize intrusion into the cabin. Now, if you go to Japan or China, you can actually buy a Lexus minivan at the moment called the LM, and that is a version of the Toyota Alphard. In China, of course, everyone loves luxury minivans. Even Volvo's got one over there as well. We know that Mercedes is working on the VLS off their new next generation V-Class. And so this vehicle could be seen as a potential successor to the current LM. The interior features a steering yoke and a digital display similar to what we saw on the Lexus LS Coupe, with kind of the stacked screens directly in front of the driver. But again, not too much in the way of technical specs. And finally, Toyota's Hiace. You don't see it here in North America, but outside North America, Toyota has a pretty active light commercial vehicle portfolio. The Hiace is the big workhorse of the fleet. available both passenger and cargo versions. And so they unveiled this HiAce concept. Now, the next HiAce is apparently about 5 years away from being replaced. So, but what we're looking at here looks reasonably doable from a production standpoint. They note that there's no B-pillar between the front passenger and the sliding cargo door to make it easier to get things in and out of the vehicle. So we'd expect the next-gen HiAce is likely to include a hybrid and could even include an electric variant as well. But we've got a few years before we actually see this in production. And that about wraps things up for Auto Perspectives and our first look at the Japan Mobility Show. This was not everything at the show. There are a few other interesting bits and bobs, which I hope to bring back next week. In the meantime, if you liked what you see and hear, please subscribe and share, and come visit at autoperspectives.net to learn a little more about me and to read out the blog. So with that, we'll see you back here in about 7 days. Thanks for listening. So long.